On Marseille's Day 2023, in the heart of Paris, Prime Minister Narendra Modi stood alongside French President Emmanuel Macron. Between the ceremonial pomp and diplomatic smiles, India signed a deal to procure small nuclear reactors from France, a step towards cleaner and more resilient energy future. It's a future India urgently needs. But here's the irony. The biggest obstacle to that future is nuclear liability law championed years ago by BJP when it was in opposition. And now, in power, is the same BJP that may have to dismantle it. To understand how India got here, why it needs nuclear power, and why its own law stands in the way, we have to go back, not to a reactor, but to a pesticide factory in central India nearly 40 years ago. It begins in Bhopal. The night of December 2nd, 1984, Bhopal sleeps. Near midnight, a toxic chain reaction in Union Carbide's pesticide plant releases a dense cloud of methyl isocyanate. Sirens fail, safety systems falter. The gas roars silently into the neighborhood. Eyes start burning. Lungs seize and panic spreads. Some die in their bed and others collapse in the streets. Hospitals start overflowing with patients, and by the morning, the scale of the catastrophe is clear. Thousands dead, tens of thousands injured. In 1989, Union Carbide settled with the Indian government for $470 million. Survivors called it inadequate. The courts upheld the settlements for decades, even rejecting fresh claims in recent years. However, the factory still remains contaminated to this day. For India, one lesson was seared deep. Never let corporations walk away from the harm that they cause. And that lesson would echo decades later in the fine prints of India's nuclear liability law. India's energy demand is set to surge, powered by factories, metros, housing, AI-driven data centers, and millions of electric vehicles. But here's the problem. The reliance on imported oil, gas, and sometimes even coal leaves India exposed to global price shocks. Since 2015, India has aggressively pushed into solar power. But large-scale reliance on solar still depends heavily on battery storage, a technology that remains costly and hard to scale. Even China, with its unmatched solar and battery manufacturing capacity, has realized its limits. Since 2020, China has been adding on an average 3 new nuclear reactors every year, securing clean, always-on power that doesn't depend on sun or the wind. Nuclear power offers something unique. It's a 24/7 low-carbon alternative which doesn't need massive storage systems. It provides import resilience because uranium is compact and stockpilable. It also provides longevity since plants run for decades at a stable cost. From France's extensive nuclear fleet to Japan's recent restart of nuclear reactors, the global track record shows that it works. And now, emerging technologies like small nuclear reactors, like those in India-France deal, promise quicker builds, lower upfront cost, and safer designs. For India, nuclear isn't a luxury. It's a missing piece in a clean, resilient energy mix. But there's a catch. In 2010, India passed Civil Liability Nuclear Damage Act. Like most countries, it put primary liability on the operator. In India's case, that's government-owned NPCIL. But it adds a twist. Section 17B, which allows the operator to recover compensation from suppliers if defective equipment caused an accident. Globally, under the Convention of Supplier Compensation for Nuclear Damage, suppliers have no liability. The reasoning is to make liability predictable so that suppliers will do business. India's deviation leaves foreign suppliers exposed to potentially unlimited claim. The result? Project stalls and deals like the much hyped US-India Nuclear Pact deliver little on ground. In 2010, the BJP, then in opposition, insisted a tougher supplier liability, citing the memory of Bhopal gas tragedy. It was a political win and framed as protecting Indian lives from corporate negligence. Fast forward today, the same party is in power, pushing for rapid nuclear expansion to meet climate goals. And the same clause that it once championed is now seen as the main roadblock. The industry groups and foreign governments have been pressuring India to amend the law, perhaps limiting supplier liability to proven fraud, willful concealment, or aligning fully with the global norms. Without reform, India's nuclear capacity, currently at 8 gigawatts, will struggle to hit its 100 gigawatt target by 2047. And that's the point. Protect victims at all cost, or create conditions where nuclear powers can actually be built at scale. India's energy future depends on reconciling two truths. The safety must be non-negotiable and that it should have the ability to build at scale. Reformed liability regime, victim first, predictable, and aligned with international practices could honor the memory of Bhopal while unlocking clean and resilient power system that India needs. The choice is not between safety and progress. It's about engineering both before the clock of our energy future runs out.